Hello everyone. Excuse me, I've been just riding a bike. Time is less sometimes, so I just want to squeeze in this video. The day after tomorrow will be the day the World Economic Forum holds the exercise called Polygon. They will be investigating what kind of disasters will happen if we get great kind of disturbances in our IT system, banking systems and all that. You know, everything is connected to the IT grid, the Internet of Things these days. And we know that all of these exercises become reality, sometimes even on the same day. You know, this year is 20 years ago that thing happened. And the exact same morning they had an exercise of exactly the same thing happening, and people were not sure if it was the exercise or the reality. I'll leave a link to that below. So anyway, they will have this exercise about IT security and what will happen if the kind of electronic internet system goes down. Whatever we call it, it doesn't matter, IT, Internet of Things. Yeah, and that will kind of mix in the, you know, scandemic which has been going on too. And those two combined will kind of really shape, there's a wasp here, sorry, shape the reality for us. And the fun thing is, well, not the fun, but the kind of interesting thing is that in Sweden, there's a big food chain. We have two big ones. One is IKEA and the other one is Coop. Coop is like this grocery store. They have the small ones, the medium sized and the big ones. They had to shut down almost every store because they were hacked by this group called Revel, R-Evil, or liver backwards. That group is supposed to be Russian. And yeah, so they shut down because their cash systems were hacked. They couldn't even accept cash because that, you know, blipping or putting the thing through the system is connected to the system. So you can't just put in the cash registry that, you know, bananas, 20 crowns or something. But they're back again, and I think they had to pay a great sum. That is also a funny thing, because in the media they wrote about them demanding, it doesn't matter what they demand, but they demand it in Bitcoin. Now everybody who knows just slightly much about crypto knows that you can't send Bitcoin, it's transparent. Do you remember the Silk Road, the kind of first major dark web thing that happened? The guy who created that, or was the front figure, Ross Ulbricht, he got imprisoned for life in isolation. He used Bitcoin. After that we got Monero for a reason. So when you read an article that somebody demands that much in Bitcoin, that is probably just the value in Bitcoin they are referring to, but the journalists are not aware of that. So let's say $700 million in Bitcoin. That is like saying $700 million. It doesn't mean that you will pay me in dollars. It means that, you know, that's the value. Of course, they will have to use Monero, or I think they will use Monero and not Pirate Chain. It's not that big yet, because otherwise it's tracked and traced, and you know, that's the reason we have privacy crypto. If Ross Ulbricht had Monero back in the days, he might be free. And his fate is very sad, because he wanted to create something totally free, and now he's spending the rest of his life in something totally isolated. You know, Trump, before he left his office, he liberated all of these Jewish Israeli spies and all these rappers, drug people, but not the kind of people like Ross Ulbricht, who are intelligent young people who can be converted into working for something else, something good, you know. He's a smart man. I mean, people start wars or do wrong decisions that kill millions of people, and they still get another office. You know, they change from the secretary of this to the secretary and minister of that. but people like him who are genuinely intelligent and genius will be just wasted. Who knows? So I'm making this video because, yeah, that's something to reflect to. You know, it already kind of happened in Sweden, and here it wasn't big of a fuzz because the other grocery stores are working. People don't reflect that much. There's no uproar, and there's not even much uproar about the police shooting in Sweden. A young, probably like Somali Eritrean man, 17 years old, who was already who already has stabbed somebody, and he got like 1 year of youth detention or whatever. I've been telling you in my earlier videos, when I make these kind of videos, that in Sweden the system is so weak. You have to like try to kill somebody 5 times, kill somebody 2 times, and then you will get some kind of a sentence. And even that has to come to an end, right? So we had a police killing, murder, the first one in a long time, and it's very rare in Sweden that policemen get killed. But there's no reaction, no uproar. People are happy, you know, they have their smartphones, their Netflix, their European football championship. But things are not changing, they have already changed. So the interruption in the supply chain, which these attacks showed, and Coop in Sweden was just one of many being attacked. So who knows who that is? It doesn't have to be Russian because they say it's Putin in Russia. It can be anybody. It can be an inside job. Who knows? But just think about it. When they talk about Bitcoin, you know, it's just the value of something. It's not what they will use to get the actual money, because everything is traced. So until and if they just shut down the whole electronic internet system of things, you have to learn about Monero and Pirate Chain and all of these privacy functions online, because you can't use cash. Is a good thing, but cash is controlled. They can print, reprint, do whatever they want, inflate cash, or make cash unusable. Like in this case, even if they could accept cash, they couldn't because the system can't register whatever. Yeah, that's why privacy crypto is, you know, the thing to be educated about. You start with yourself. Let's say you're like me, mid-30s, and you have to learn your children about that, and you know, privacy stuff online. And yeah, some people are skeptical about that, but most people who talk like that don't realize that, you know, it's like guns, it's like bicycles, it's like churches. You can use them for good or worse. And when you really learn how it works, what it does, what problems it solves, what solutions it offers, and what its utility is, you realize. And still few people realize that, even though crypto is kind of mainstream, not all cryptocurrencies are mainstream, and it's not the currency in itself. When you learn about crypto, you learn that it solves a function on a blockchain. So, you know, the powers that be want to create their own blockchains, their own cryptocurrencies. That in itself is just a case for, you know, we will have money, I mean cash, we will have silver, gold, whatever, all of the things we have today, plus the crypto. Everything will have its usability, and it's time for being used. So in 20, 30 years, 40 years, when I'm about to give some money for my grandchildren at their birthday, and I don't want anybody or any government by that time or bank to know what I'm doing with my money, I will use privacy crypto. So it's already began. We can expect more of the scam we had over the last year. Now it's summer, so everything is kind of releasing its tension, you know, to make people a bit more happy and forget about things. Then we will have these supply chain, IT attacks, hacks and all that. And even the Swedish SÄPO, like the FBI, whatever, even they say we can expect more of these kind of attacks. So if they say, and I say, well, there has to be some truth in it. I'm never a fear mongerer, you know, this place and time in history is not the worst. Some people who know less or don't know much, haven't experienced much, they think this is the worst times we're living. It's just like it's always been. And you know, if you're smart, if you read about what's right, if you get the information right, if you plan ahead for yourself, you connect with not the right people, but people who are aware, you will have an easier time through all of this. And yeah, and don't be lukewarm. Like the book of Revelations, when God says to that guy, like, I don't like you lukewarm. You either believe in me or don't believe in me. I like you more if you don't believe in me or do it lukewarmly. So just be, you know, just be honest about it. Be a man about what's going on. Prepare, learn a lot, and see what's going on. Things will change a lot, but they will still stay very much the same. And there's nothing new on the table. You have already what's out there to play with. Like, the internet isn't going away. The monetary system isn't going away. It's just going to change. It will have a lot more players, and you'll be part of that, as with cryptocurrencies, which are the only current solution within the system, because there is no solution outside of system. You know, some people think that having a bag of gold somewhere in the middle of nowhere with the ranch is safe and good. Yeah, and a bunch of guns and rifles. That's not the case. If those people knew what happens first in a war, you know, you'll know that that's not the case. You're always safer among people, and of course people who are a bit aware, and in a good community, you know. So community building is the key. But there's always the option to be the lone guru in the cave, to be the lone guy with the rifles and the gold somewhere out there growing potatoes, you know. That's just not the way to go about it. All of this kind of leaving the cities, leaving the urban areas is not the solution, because when a country loses its major cities, its capital, it's gone. You're not going to be safe out there in your wilderness with your rifles and your bags of gold and potatoes. You won't. You know, you'll be the first victim of whatever is going to happen, because the city behind me and all the big cities used to be places where you have people of various ages. That's why you had a culture. You had families going out, old people, young people in the pubs, connecting, talking, bantering with each other. Now the cities are having a dangerous development, because of course, for their pleasure, families are moving outside, and the only people in the cities are young people, people who are there to work, migrants, students, like very homogeneous groups that don't really contribute to any culture. That's why we have this, you know, government subsidized culture being shoved down in the major cities, which is not art, it's not expression of people. And that's why, you know, for the moment, let's say if my family moves out somewhere, yeah, we have a nice time, we have a garden. But if the cities are going to get, like in Sweden, not safe, full of criminals, people who are there because they need to be there for studies, they just want to have fun, young people who don't invest their heritage and culture in that city, you won't have that city. Because when I'm in Sarajevo, Mostar and Split, or you know, back where I was born, when I go out at night, I feel safe, and there are people of various ages meeting and interacting. I don't see that here. It's a very homogeneous grouping. So, you know, you can't live life being sort of outside, like I will have my house, my garden, drive my car to work, and not think about, you know, the children want to experience culture. They want to go to rock and roll shows. They want to be outside, meet other young people and interact with people just like we did in a safe manner. And that is disappearing, and that is very dangerous. So the solution is not to escape. Sometimes we have to stand our ground, use what's there, and, you know, don't be lukewarm. Talk to people, especially people who don't think like us. Keep calm, say our opinions, and just leave it there. That's how we change something, not by escaping with our tails, not by complaining, not by being weaklings. Use what's there, hold your ground, remember what you had growing up in your youth, what do you want to offer the next generation. And of course, it's a long struggle which we can't win by ourselves, but I'll do my part, you do your part, and we'll see in 10-15 years. And all the naysayers, the weaklings, just like wave them off. They're like worse for our case than the actual zombies out there who don't get anything of this. So with that said, I'm gonna keep riding the bike and enjoy this evening. All the best to you, and thanks for listening in for like 16 minutes almost. Let's try to stop at exactly 16 minutes just for the sake of it. All the best. Ciao.